All right, let's dive into something that's probably on a lot of our minds. ChatGPT. We all know it can write emails, draft essays, and even compose poetry. But can it really crunch numbers for serious high-stakes research, specifically in the complex world of healthcare data?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into a fascinating new study from the Journal of Medical Internet Research. They really put ChatGPT to the ultimate test, performing univariate statistics for healthcare research.
Which is basically looking at one variable at a time.
Right, understanding its characteristics or how it relates to maybe one other variable, simple but fundamental stuff.
And what's truly revolutionary here is that with the integration of Python code interpretation, ChatGPT's potential as a research tool has just, well, it's absolutely surged.
So this study wasn't just academic curiosity.
Not at all. It aimed to provide a clear, validated framework, for applying this AI to everything from data management to descriptive stats and even inferential statistics.
Okay, so if you're someone listening who wants to grasp how AI is genuinely reshaping scientific inquiry, or maybe you've pondered how you might responsibly use these powerful tools for your own data, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. We'll uncover where ChatGPT excels, where it surprisingly stumbles, and why that human element remains absolutely indispensable.
Couldn't agree more.
That's a fascinating idea, AI democratizing complex skills. But before we get into the study's results, let's quickly set the stage. What exactly about ChatGPT right now makes it such a potential game changer for researchers?
Well, look, ChatGPT, the conversational AI from OpenAI, it's been an invaluable resource for a little while now. It helps with literature reviews, right? Identifying research gaps, even drafting papers.
You've seen that.
But the real shift, the big leap, came with its recent ability to interpret Python code. That, plus features letting you upload and download data. It's a monumental step towards truly individualized AI-assisted data analysis.
So it's way beyond just chatting or generating text now. It's actually manipulating and analyzing real data. What kind of ripple effect could this have across the research landscape?
Oh, huge. The accessibility of this feature is, I think, transformative. It really does have the potential to democratize data analysis,
Yeah.
especially for people who don't have specialized programming knowledge.
Hmm.
Think of it like a bridge, connecting that programming know-how with the ever-growing demands of biomedical research.
Hmm.
For so long, just setting up a local programming environment was a huge hurdle for many researchers.
Yeah, definitely.
ChatGPT just bypasses that completely now.
But hold on, we've heard some mixed signals about AI and stats before, haven't we? Some studies praising it, others raising warning.
Precisely, yes. While some early analyses did show ChatGPT giving results consistent with traditional biostatistical software, other studies quickly raised red flags. Big ones. There were reports of incorrect answers, mislabeled data, even speculative results that weren't really grounded. This history is exactly why a rigorous, comprehensive validation like the one we're talking about today is so critical.
Okay, so with all that potential on the table, the crucial question becomes, how did these researchers actually put ChatGPT through its paces? What kind of crucible did they devise to really test its statistical muscle?
Right. They used a very specific, I think importantly, realistic data set. It was a subset of the 2019 National Inpatient Sample from the National Healthcare Cost and Utilization Project.
Okay, real-world data.
Exactly. They honed in on individuals aged 41-70 who had experienced both a cerebral infarct and a myocardial infarction with total hospital charges under $400,000.
Very specific cohort.
Very. This gave them 2,740 observations, each with 5 key attributes: age, gender, race, length of stay, and total charges. A manageable but complex enough data set.
That sounds like a truly real-world scenario. So how did they challenge ChatGPT with this data? What did they ask it to do?
They assessed its capabilities across 3 core areas, using common statistical methods for univariate analysis. First up was data management.
Like cleaning and organizing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They prompted it to reclassify variables, for instance, changing race from 4 categories down to just 2, white and non-white. Simple, but
Yeah.
necessary sometimes.
Sure.
They also asked it to subset data, like isolating only the patient's age of 45, and importantly, to present data in clear tables,
Yeah.
tabulation.
Got it. What was next?
Descriptive statistics.
Yeah.
This involved asking it to calculate those fundamental measures.
Yeah.
Means, standard deviations, or SDs, medians, interquartile ranges, IQRs, for variables like age, length of stay, total charges across different patient groups. Basic but essential exploration.
Makes sense. And the third area?
Inferential statistics. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. They threw 8 different statistical tests at it.
8? Wow.
Yeah, covering both parametric tests, your chi-square, Pearson correlation, t-test, Ehrman, the ones you use often for comparing averages or proportions when your data behaves nicely.
Right, the standard toolkit.
And also their non-parametric equivalents, like Fisher-Exec, Spearman correlation, Mann-Whitney U, Kruskal-Wallis H. These are often used when your data doesn't quite fit those neat statistical assumptions. It was a really comprehensive lineup for real-world research questions.
And crucially, they didn't just test what ChatGPT could do, but also how the way you prompted it, the way you asked the question, impacted its accuracy. How did they measure that? Did certain prompts work way better than others?
Absolutely, that was a key part of the study. They formulated prompts at 3 distinct levels of increasing specificity. Think of it as mirroring how familiar a user might be with stats and with ChatGPT itself.
Okay, what were the levels?
First, basic prompts.
Mm.
Here, ChatGPT just got the research question, the relevant variables, and the task. Very minimal guidance.
But just compare age between these two groups.
Essentially, yes. Then came intermediate prompts. These added more specific guidelines. Things like data cleaning steps and clear strategies for checking statistical assumptions before running the tests.
So more context, more instruction.
Exactly. And finally, advanced prompts. These included everything in the intermediate prompts, but also explicitly recommended a specific statistical test to use.
Got it. So basic, intermediate, and advanced levels of detail in the request. And how rigorously did they grade its performance? What counted as correct?
They were meticulous. For every task, they compared ChatGPT's output against the expected values calculated using standard, validated software, Python, SAS, and RStudio.
The gold standards.
Right. And a result was only considered correct if all the values it produced were within 1% of that expected output. Pretty strict.
Very strict. And for the inferential stats?
There, they focused on 3 specific criteria. Method selection, did it pick the right statistical test? Statistical assumptions, did it correctly report the critical assumptions for that test? And statistical values, were the actual calculated test statistics and p-values correct?
That covers all the bases.
And importantly, to account for ChatGPT's probabilistic nature, it doesn't always give the exact same answer. Each assessment involved 10 separate trials.
10 trials for each prompt, type, and test. That's thorough. Okay, the methodology sounds really robust. So when the dust settled, what were the initial breakthroughs? Where did ChatGPT first really shine?
Well, for the basic data processing, the categorization, tabulation, and those descriptive statistics we talked about, ChatGPT was remarkably accurate across all trials.
Really, perfect scores.
Pretty much. It delivered accurate means, standard deviations, medians, and IQRs for the continuous variables in every single attempt. This really showcases its high proficiency in, let's call it, exploratory data analysis, the initial look-see.
That's fantastic news for anyone handling initial data sets. That alone could save a lot of time. But now for the bigger challenge. How did it truly fare with those more complex inferential statistics? That's where the real, intellectual heavy lifting often happens in research.
Right. And this is precisely where prompt specificity proved to be the absolute game changer. The difference was stark.
How stark?
Okay, so with those basic prompts, minimal guidance, ChatGPT managed only a dismal 32.5% accuracy for the statistical values.
Oof. Less than 1 in 3, correct?
So essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It offered very little actionable insight at that level. But get this, with the intermediate prompts adding those details about cleaning, and assumptions accuracy skyrocketed.
To what?
To 81.3%.
Wow. From 32% to over 80%, that's a massive jump.
Massive. And then with the advanced prompts, where they even suggested the test, it reached an impressive 92.5% accuracy across method selection, assumption assessment, and the statistical values.
Okay, that jump from basic to intermediate is wild. Just providing those extra details about cleaning data, checking assumptions, that was the key, it seems.
It really was. It almost implies that mastering AI isn't just about the tech itself, but about mastering the art of asking really intelligent questions. Prompt engineering is like becoming a crucial skill.
Like a new form of literacy for researchers.
You could definitely see it that way. And while the advanced prompts did nudge the accuracy up a bit further, that intermediate level captured most of the gains. It was about guiding ChatGPT more comprehensively.
Okay, but even at 92.5% accuracy with advanced prompts, that's still not 100%. What kind of lingering errors did ChatGPT still make? What are the snags people need to watch out for?
Good question. The most prevalent error, even with better prompts, was still incorrect method selection, choosing the wrong statistical test for the job.
Which can lead you down completely the wrong path.
Absolutely. Other errors included subtle coding mistakes. For example, there was an instance of an accidental Yates correction in chi-square tests. That's a small adjustment sometimes made for certain data, but here it was wrongly applied by default in the underlying code, throwing off the results slightly.
Ah, a default parameter tripping it up.
Exactly. It also sometimes gave incomplete responses or failed to report all the necessary assumptions for a test, or even in some cases, incorrectly removed outliers from the data.
And those aren't just minor glitches, are they? Imagine basing a clinical decision on analysis where outliers were wrongly removed.
Precisely. Each of these errors, even if less frequent with good prompts, really underscores why that human expert review isn't just a final check, it's an absolute necessity throughout the process.
So, pulling this all together, what does this mean for researchers who are looking at AI tools like ChatGPT? Can they just, hand off their entire statistical analysis and kick back?
Absolutely not. Not as a standalone solution anyway.
Yeah.
The study's conclusions are very, very clear on this. While ChatGPT shows immense promise, especially for researchers who have some statistical understanding but maybe limited programming expertise, its application demands meticulous prompt construction.
Right, the intermediate or advanced level prompts.
Yes, and critically, human oversight to guarantee accuracy. It's designed to be a supplementary tool, a powerful assistant, not a full replacement for statistical expertise.
But it does sound like it can dramatically speed up certain parts of the process, or maybe open doors for researchers who don't have those coding skills.
Exactly. That's the flip side and the real potential here. It can significantly enhance data analysis efficiency, and it broadens research accessibility.
How so?
Well, imagine being able to conduct preliminary analyses quickly, get a feel for your data's nuances, draw some initial insights, maybe even start drafting parts of your methods or results section, all while you're perhaps waiting for a consultation with a specialist biostatistician.
That makes sense. It gets the ball rolling.
It does. The study actually uses a great analogy. It calls ChatGPT a statistical doula.
A statistical doula, I like that. A supportive partner in the research journey.
Precisely. Supportive, helpful, but not the one making the final decisions or taking ultimate responsibility.
That's a powerful way to frame it. So if we step back and connect this to the bigger picture, it really sounds like the key isn't if we use the tool, but how we use it intelligently. What are the specific best practices the study recommends?
They lay out some clear, very actionable best practices. First, prompting. As we've seen, your prompts need to be specific and comprehensive. For inferential statistics, you should always aim for at least that intermediate level of detail we discussed.
Okay, be specific. What else?
Second, refinement. Treat your interaction with ChatGPT like a dynamic discussion, not just a one-off command. Ask it to pinpoint gaps in its own analysis, suggest ways to improve your prompts, and critically, ask it to explain its decisions and methodologies. Make it show its work.
Engage it interactively. Good tip.
Third, consistency. Because ChatGPT has that probabilistic element, it's really wise to run each important analysis, say, at least 3 times, just to verify the consistency of the output.
Check for variation.
Yeah. The study even noted sometimes, due to this variability, less specific prompts could accidentally outperform more detailed ones in a single trial, so multiple runs help smooth that out.
Interesting quirk. And the most important one.
Verification. This is absolutely non-negotiable. While ChatGPT can help draft results or interpretations, all statistical outputs and what they mean must be meticulously reviewed by a qualified human biostatistician before anything gets published or presented, period.
Human review is the ultimate backstop.
Always. And finally, transparency. Be upfront about using ChatGPT in your research methods. They even suggest considering sharing the exact prompts you used in your analysis, maybe as supplementary material. This fosters replicability and builds trust in the findings.
Makes sense. Open science principles applied to AI use. So even with its immense power, human critical thinking, human expertise remains the ultimate safeguard.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This whole field is moving so incredibly fast. What does the study hint at regarding future advancements? Where might AI go next in statistical analysis?
Well, further advancements to ChatGPT and similar models are undoubtedly on the horizon, and they'll only broaden its applicability. For example, data visualization is crucial in research, right? Seeing the patterns.
Of course. A good chart is worth 1,000 numbers.
Exactly. And ChatGPT's vision feature, its ability to see images, already shows real promise in interpreting statistical figures presented visually. That could be huge.
Interesting.
And moreover, newer GPT models are constantly being released. The recently available GPT-4o, for instance, is reportedly better suited to reason through complex tasks and solve more difficult problems in science, coding, and math. That suggests an even more powerful analytical future.
So the tools are only going to get better. If we think about this in the broader context, it really seems like the ultimate goal isn't for AI to replace researchers at all,
No, not at all.
but rather to fundamentally empower them.
Absolutely. That's the key takeaway. The study strongly encourages researchers to embrace tools like ChatGPT for the more mechanical, programming aspects of their statistical work. Doing that frees up their invaluable human expertise, their critical thinking, for the really important decisions. The study design, the interpretation, the so what.
Let the AI handle the code, the human handle the insight.
Precisely. By adopting that kind of approach, researchers can truly harness ChatGPT's full potential as a supplementary tool, making sure its application is both highly productive and scientifically unimpeachable.
Well, we've just taken quite a deep dive into how ChatGPT is confidently stepping into the complex world of healthcare research statistics. We've seen everything from handling basic data management
Performed remarkably well.
to tackling those more complex inferential statistical tests. And we've really uncovered its astounding accuracy when it's guided by the right instructions.
But also the absolute unwavering necessity of human expertise to both steer the analysis and crucially verify every single output.
Absolutely. So thinking ahead, what new frontiers in research might become accessible when AI can reliably handle more of that foundational data work, freeing up human minds for the deeper critical thinking, the novel hypothesis generation?
That's the exciting question, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. How might this fundamentally redefine the role of the researcher, moving maybe from being primarily a number cruncher to more of a strategic data architect, guiding these powerful tools?
A strategic data architect. I like that framing.
Definitely something to mull over as you, our listeners, consider how you might apply this knowledge, whether in your own research or just in understanding the evolving landscape of science and AI.